How do you protect your energy? You may have heard that phrase before. Like, hey, you got to protect your energy. But what does that actually mean? So the other day I was trying to fill my car with gas, but I realized I was going to be going out to the suburbs. So anyone who's been to Chicago or lives here understands you do not, if you have a choice, you do not fill up your car here in the city. You got to go out to the suburbs, or if you're going to be traveling around another state, they're going to have much better gas prices. It might be because the taxes are very high here in Chicago. But whatever the case, I wanted to fill up while I was going to be incidentally in the suburbs, but I didn't have enough gas to get out there. So I figured, okay, I got a plan here. I'm going to get a little bit of gas at this gas station here in the city, and that will give me enough that I need to get out to the suburbs. And when I'm out there, then I'm going to fill up my car. So I got to the gas station near my house here in the city, and I went to fill up like normal, and I sat in my car and I got distracted. Now, I don't know if it's ADD or what it is, but I forgot that my goal was not to fill up the car. So I was just relaxing in the car. I don't know if I was listening to the radio or what it is, but then I hear the click and I realize, oh, I didn't mean to fill up here. The gas is so expensive in the city. And I went and I looked at the meter, and sure enough, the ticket price was, I don't even want to say how much it was, but just know I could have taken me and another person out for a steak dinner at the nicest restaurant. We could have gotten drinks and everything. So the gas prices are really ridiculous. But imagine, if you will, someone who decides that they would like to get gas in a neighboring state where they believe the gas will be cheaper. But in order to get to the neighboring state, they had to fill up their tank, and the neighboring state is an entire gas tank away. So they have to fill up the tank to get to the neighboring state, and then they have to deplete the gas tank all the way in order to fill up there, which means that they'll have to deplete the gas tank to come home. So would they have really saved money if they only went there just to get their gas? Well, of course not. Mathematically, it just makes no sense. You're not going to fill up here just to go there to fill up gas to just come back. If both times you're depleting your gas tank, you come back on E. But that is not only a waste of money and energy, but that's exactly what someone who doesn't protect their energy does. They actually find themselves depleting themselves with the mindset that they're going to go and get energized, or they're going to go and get fulfilled. And so instead of driving to another state, in this case, this would be someone going to their in-laws' house when they know their in-laws are toxic and thinking, yeah, we're just going to hang out. This is going to be a fine dinner. It's going to be great. So they think they're going to be fulfilled. But meanwhile, they actually end up getting their energy depleted as a result. Can you relate? For you, it might not be your in-laws. It might be your actual parents. And you go over their house and your thought process is, I'm just going to go chill and just have a nice time with them. But then you come back and you feel worse than you felt when you went. So why did you go? You thought that you would feel good for going, but you realize now you failed to protect your energy. See, because when you feel worse, that's your indication, as we'll talk about. But first, we need to understand, what do we mean by your energy? Well, the secret is out. Human beings are not just simply the physical beings they see in the mirror. Yes, your reflection is your physical body, but you, the self, are beyond the physical body. The metaphysical self is the self that exists purely in the mind. It is the thoughts, beliefs, concepts, and values that make you who you are. You are your values. Values are concepts. These concepts are ideas. Every idea is energy, because thoughts are literally energy when they look at the brain. You see electrical signals flying in between neurons. Energy is thoughts, and thoughts are energy. Actually, for us as humans, even just if you were to use thermal imaging, you would see energy radiating off of human beings. You can detect them in a room because they have heat. We are beings radiating, literally radiating energy at all times. In fact, did you know that's how a cell phone works? If you touch the screen, this touch screen on your cell phone works because it's detecting the energy, yes, electrical energy that's coming from your fingertips. That's why when you touch your cell phone with a dead object like a pen, nothing happens. But all of a sudden it activates when you touch it with a battery or a live wire or your fingertip. Because, like the battery and the live wire, your fingers have electricity. We are beings of energy. And ourselves, the ego, the person you are inside, you may call it the soul, is made up of pure energy. It is the thought self, the concept that you hold of who you are, made up of beliefs. And all of these thoughts, we receive them through communication, verbal, nonverbal, written. But however you receive your thoughts, each thought is either to the self and to your worldview, constructive or destructive. Keep that in mind. Everything you take into your brain through your eyes, ears, is either constructive to yourself and your worldview, or it is destructive to yourself and your worldview. A toxic person is someone who gives you destructive thoughts, that is, destructive energy. They either make you feel worse about yourself or they make you feel worse about the world around you. That's why the individual at work who likes to gossip about other people, we call them toxic. Why? Because they make you feel worse about the world around you. They're telling you all of the dirt, the tea, the scoop on everyone else to make them all seem less than, which depletes your worldview. It doesn't make you feel good about the self, and it makes you feel worse about the world around you. That is a toxic person. It's someone who gives you energy, who gives you concepts, who gives you thoughts through the written, through the text medium, through the words that they speak, through their body language. They give you thoughts and energy that is destructive to the self. Not your body, the person you are inside, the energy self. So how can you protect yourself? Well, you're equipped with a detection system. Yes, you are equipped with a bad energy radar. Did you know that? Your bad energy radar is your emotions. Your emotions are there to detect when you receive bad energy. See, because an emotion is energy in motion. So when you receive the energy in motion flowing through you, letting you know this is negative, you get the negative sensation. Your subconscious mind is taking in information at every moment and sorting it out. And over here, when it detects something is destructive to the self and violates your values, it's going to send you chemical energy, emotion through your body to communicate to the conscious self, something's wrong over here. I've detected a bad thought, a bad idea, something that is destructive to the self, something that is negative that will tear you down or tear down your view of what you hold dear. So you have to listen to the emotions. When you receive positive energy and thoughts, you will receive positive emotions flowing through you because you will receive positive chemical energy in the form of dopamine and serotonin. When someone says, I love you, that aligns with your values if you love that person too. And you will feel good, the good sensations. So we have to understand, right? We have to understand what the emotions really are. They are our detection system to detect good energy and bad energy at all moments, because we are energy. Our energy self needs to be kept safe, needs to be kept healthy. And our radar system is going to help us to pick that up and to detect if something's good for us or if it's bad for us. Unfortunately, you may not have known this. And so as a result, you may have been someone who dealt with the negative emotions in a maladaptive way. That is, instead of realizing, oh, this is helpful, so now I know there's some bad thoughts and some bad energy that I need to deal with. Instead, you looked at the negative energy, the negative emotions flowing through you, and you said, I don't like this sensation. I have to do whatever I can to get away from it. And you mistaken the painful emotions as being something that was detrimental to yourself, and you ran away from it by distracting yourself, or you ran away from it by working really hard, or you ran away from it by staying busy all the time, or playing the music, or watching television, or going out with friends, or partying, or with drugs. And all of that was to get away from the negative emotion, but the negative emotion was there to let you know there was something you needed to deal with. And so over time, you've never dealt with the original issue. So what happens to the emotions? Well, they intensify. It's an amazing system. It's there for your protection. So it intensifies the emotions, and you say, oh my gosh, it's getting worse. I need to intensify my efforts of running away. So you do more drugs, more partying, more distraction, more music, more everything and anything that can take you away from realizing and focusing on this negative emotion. But the emotion keeps intensifying until it gets to the point where you feel like you just have something inside of you that has to come out and you can't take it anymore. And you find yourself punching walls and punching mirrors. And then you see a shard of glass and you take it and you think to yourself, if I use this shard of glass to cut my skin, maybe I will feel some relief, because it feels like there's something inside me that needs to come out. And you become destructive to the self. You may even start to think about suicide. And then you get labeled as mentally ill. And it wouldn't be incorrect, because you have sickness, mental, metaphysical energy sickness, as a result of not dealing with what was actually toxic that you were taking in. Because something that's toxic is poisonous. And if we ingest poison, we become ill. But remember, the illness was not something you were born with. The illness is caused by the poison that you took in. The poison came from the toxic people that you associated with. And in some of our cases, that was our own mom, or our own dad, or brother, or sister, or our friends. For some of us, we actually get into a paradox of running away from that pain by running to what causes the pain in the first place. Like the proverbial man who gets drunk and then he becomes abusive, and then he feels guilty that he became abusive and spirals into shame. And to deal with the guilt and the shame emotions, what does he do? He drinks. And then he becomes abusive, and the cycle goes on and on. He is caught in a paradox. So what do we do to get out of the paradox? Well, we have to stop and recognize that running away from the pain is maladaptive. It doesn't work. That's what leads us to illness. We need to run toward the pain. We need to pay attention to the pain. We need to recognize that just because it hurts us doesn't mean it's harming us, because not everything that hurts harms us. Some of the pain that we receive is actually for our own good. In fact, pain is for a protection. Pain is there to let us know that something is wrong for our physical body. When you feel pain, then you know to pull away from whatever was burning your hand or cutting your hand, and it protects the body from destruction. Likewise, if you could recognize that the emotion is a signal to let you know that something is wrong and you need to pull away from the toxic people in your life, you would be saved from spiraling into mental illness, and you would grow on to be healthy in your energy self, the person you are inside. And so now that proverbial man must look back and say, what am I feeling? And go into meditation. Meditation is just pausing to think. That's all it is. It's just stopping to think. And he meditates on the situation. You see, when we can meditate, it's us in the conscious mind turning around and analyzing our own thoughts, analyzing the subconscious mind. So then the man can sit back and say, what are these feelings I'm feeling? Okay, I feel shame, but is shame helpful to me? He might realize that shame is maladaptive. Shame is virtually never helpful, because shame is, I am bad. Guilt is, I did something bad. Shame is, I am worthless. Guilt is, that behavior was worthless. Shame is destructive to the metaphysical self. Saying I am bad, I am worthless, brings the metaphysical self down, deconstructed, and into a spiral of illness, self-destruction, and eventually death. So recognizing that shame is maladaptive, with meditation, the man realizes, I need to kick this out. I need to not accept shame, because that's not actually helping me. That's driving me to the point where I have so much pain that I want to drink. So I'm going to let go of the shame. And I'm going to recognize I am still worthwhile, even though my behavior was not worthwhile. I'm going to recognize that I am not necessarily a bad person, although my behavior was bad. So I will accept the guilt, because the guilt is adaptive. Also, the guilt is emotional pain, but the pain is for a protection. How is my guilt protecting me? Well, my guilt is helping me to know where the line is, so I don't keep going again and again and violating my own morals, my own principles, because wherever my values are being misaligned and violated, then I get metaphysical pain. And the energy in motion punishes me. My guilt is for a protection, because if I recognize this guilt, if I accept that I am guilty, then I will try to avoid this guilt, not in the maladaptive way of going and drinking again, but in the adaptive way of controlling myself. So how can I control myself? Well, I could not drink at all, or when I drink, I could just drink less and avoid getting drunk. And so the man decides, from now on, I'll just have 2 drinks when I go out with my friends. And so now in this next opportunity, now that he's dealt with the actual issue, the pain, and he's recognized that this is signaling him that something is wrong. And what was wrong is that he was allowing himself to drink too much. When he's back into the situation and his friends pour him the first drink, he drinks it. And his friends pour him the second drink, he nurses it slowly. And when they go to top him off, he says, don't waste your alcohol, because I'm not going to drink that. Now the moment of truth. His friends begin to pressure him, and he feels the anxiety welling up inside of him, but he remembers the guilt. And he says, that's not how I want to feel tonight. That's not how I want to feel tomorrow morning. So at this very moment, I will make a decision that is different, that steers me away from the guilt, that is adaptive and will allow me to grow. And he says, no. And his friends say, okay, whatever, man. And he starts to feel something. It's a good feeling welling up inside. And it's not just the buzz from the first 2 drinks. No, this is dopamine and serotonin that comes from being true to oneself, because now his actions line up with his values. And he feels good energy in motion going through his body. The positive emotion rewards him. So instead of feeling guilt, he feels healthy self-pride, and his self-esteem and self-worth climbs one notch. And if he does this every day, his self-esteem, his self-confidence, his self-worth climbs. There's no room in his life for the shame, and his guilt diminishes. All through meditation and recognizing that the emotion was there as a protection for him, to signal to him that there was toxicity in his life. So now you have to recognize for yourself, is there toxicity existing in your life? Do you need to protect your energy by listening to your radar? We have to learn to prioritize mind over matter. Have you ever heard that phrase before? Mind over matter, right? Because everything physical in this world, right, is made up of matter, right? So physical things, they seem more real to us because we can see them. But the energy is real too. Please believe it. You have a mind, right? You have a self. You are a conscious being beyond the physical body. All of that is equally real, but when we ignore it, we become sick in the energy realm. So to protect the energy, we have to prioritize the mind, your energy self, over the matter, the physical things. And then you get unstuck from feeling like you cannot move out of your parents' household when you recognize your parents are toxic energy. But they manipulate you into feeling like you cannot make it financially, and you're afraid because, well, what if I can't pay rent like mom says? And what if I will go late on my bills? And what if my credit does get affected? And what if I lose my job? And you have all of these catastrophized thoughts that are leading to fear, and the fear keeps you paralyzed. But what you need to recognize is that taking a financial risk in order to protect your mental health is putting mind over matter. And I promise you, your mind matters more. Because if someone said, I have to cripple you, you have to choose, either I cripple you physically or I cripple you mentally, every person in their right mind would say, you're not touching my mental health. So you're going to go ahead and what are you going to do? Break the leg or the arm? Because you can't have this. That's prioritizing mind over matter. So don't allow your family to make you prioritize your financial well-being over your mental health, because you much rather be mentally healthy and a little behind on your bills than to have all your bills paid, but you're in a hospital or worse, dead. It's a life or death. Get away from toxic people. Protect your energy. Some of us are married to a person or are dating a person that's toxic. In all cases, if you have a toxic spouse, you need to create distance. But if you are married to the person, it may not be possible for you to completely divorce the individual, but analyze how detrimental they are to your health. Because if this is a person who is abusing you physically and your life is actually in danger, and you need to recognize that you have to prioritize your health over the financial wealth and put the separation between you and the toxic individual. But in all cases, if the person is just your friend, or it's just your girlfriend, or it's just your boyfriend, push them away, get them out of your life, and preserve the mental self, your mental health. Prioritize mind over matter. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to have friends or not, because you can't have any friends if you are in the hospital or dead. Prioritize your mental health. Put your mind over matter. Protect your energy. And as a result, you will be happier. You will experience joy. You will experience love. You will experience life. Because life, Life, is living intensely and feeling emotion.